Welcome to DEMOCREPUBLIX, where we cover the real news that matter to we the people. Now, Victor Davis Hanson, a writer for the National Review, came up with some nagging questions for the special counselors that's handling the Russia collusion case. He came up with some nagging questions, and here are some of the questions that he's asked. Question number 1, according to the National Review: if the Pfizer court orders to explore the purported Trump-Russian collusion were predicated on phony steel fusion GPS documents and suppositions that prove largely untrue, Comey himself testified under oath that he could not verify their contents, then are the subsequent transcriptions of court-approved surveillance conversations somewhat poisoned? I believe Lionel from YouTube, I can't remember Lionel's last name right now, but Lionel from YouTube, he's a lawyer, and he said it's called poison fruit, or picked from the forbidden fruit, or something like that. Whereas a law term, whereas if you go in off of you go into an investigation off of and use false pretenses to get a warrant, then that warrant becomes like null and void and inadmissible in court. Continuing on, and if so, not permissible to be used. This just like I said, and if so, not permissible to be used in correlation with later sworn FBI statements to prove inconsistencies, lying, or obstructing. Would someone like Flynn eventually have grounds to appeal his confession? That's a good question. I believe so. Question 2. Given the overwhelming progressive consensus by summer 2016 that Trump was not going to be president and that his likely post facto blame for his defeat will fall on deaf ears, Obama before the election had both predicted that Trump would not win and that he would have no grounds to complain of outside interference in the results. Why did the amateur's Clinton-created fusion GPS dossier win such a shelf life? To be peddled around the FBI, discussed by Obama White House, the Obama White House, bandied about by intelligence agencies and worked on by the spouse of the DOJ high official? That's a good question. Was the dossier seen as some sort of insurance or an amusing trifle without consequences, given that the Clinton administration would have no interest in learning whether there was any impropriety among those who trafficked in it, or rather gratitude for doing just that, and who probably would be working for Hillary Clinton anyway? That's another good question. And I mean, you can read the dossier. The dossier itself, if you read the dossier, it's full of inconsistencies within itself. I'm trying to think of one offhand. I wish I had it on me. I'll pull it up right now. But the dossier itself was full of inconsistencies. It contradicted itself, misspelled words, misspelled names. People that were supposed to be in Russia turned out to never be in Russia at the time. So I don't even know how they can even use that to get a Pfizer warrant, but it is what it is. Question 3. In an era in which diversity is a national mantra, why didn't Mueller law team reflect much geographical, institutional, political, ideological, and career diversity? That's a good question. The liberals, the left, the Democrats, a lot of the ones that's in the FBI right now, they all speak about diversity but a lot of the people that's in this investigation all seem to be on Team Hillary. I don't see anyone that's on this investigation that was actually for Trump. And this whole thing was supposed to be a fair and balanced investigation, which I don't see that happening right now. Back to the article. Surely there were hundreds of blue chip attorneys with DOJ or FBI experience who lived outside of New York and Washington, who did not go to Ivy League law schools, who did not work in Mueller's former firm or even New York or DC firms, who were reticent about expressing preferences in the 2016 election, who did not give, say, or over $100 to presidential candidate who were never involved in prior investigations of Hillary Clinton and who had never represented or had contact with the Clinton Foundation Obama officials. Or was the political frenzy in early 2017 such that collusion was seen as a slam dunk and many of the current and former elite of the DOJ, the FBI, and Mueller's firm wished to get in on the hunt to show how a dream team, army, and all-stars could take down the obviously hemorrhaging Trump. In any case, in a political charge era of accusations of deep state ideologically driven incestuous swamp, Mueller's team has almost proved a caricature, and I would agree with that. This whole thing, this whole thing is with the document has been contrived to try to take down Trump. Question 4. To what degree, if any, in 2018 will reinvestigations about the improper transmissions of classified emails by Hillary Clinton and her staff, or use of likely bogus Fusion GPS document to obtain FISA warrants, or the unmasking and leaking of names of U.S. citizens surveilled, fall under Mueller's purview? And if not, why not? And if not, how can critics of the entire notion of a special counsel then want a special counsel to investigate the real collusion? It's another great question. Number 5, I believe this is the last question. In 2018, the charge of blaming the FBI as somehow unpatriotic or subversive will probably vanish, with the reality that the politicized FBI hierarchy, not its critics, let down the rank and file of the endangered sterling reputation of the hollow agency. Why? Probably because cumulative reports that the FBI director confessed that he deliberately leaked to journalists his confidential work notes, written on government time, of conversations with the president to leverage a special counsel appointment, which went to his close friend Robert Mueller. That same director changed the wording of an initial finding of wrongdoing on the part of Hillary Clinton to avoid suggestions of criminal intent on the written suggestion of a subordinate which clear pro-Clinton sympathies. That a deputy FBI director continued in an investigation of Hillary Clinton at the very time his wife was running for state office, a campaign fueled in part by extremely generous donations from the Clinton-related PAC. That the two high FBI officials conducted a clandestine extramarital affair using government-issued communications both to manage their affair and to express disdain and venom for the very object of their current investigations. That these two FBI employees were reassigned and their reassignments were not announced to the public until months after their departure and were revealed in a manner that did not disclose either the reasons for their departure or the relationship between both the departures, and that the Obama administration's FBI at some point and for some reason abbreviated an investigation into the so-called Uranium One matter, possibly owing to worries over damage to the 2016 Clinton campaign. But that's not the FBI job, is to worry about somebody's campaign. The FBI job is to investigate crimes. Okay, back to the article. Perhaps each of these problems involve extenuating circumstances and a backstory that makes them less damaging. But taken as a whole, they point to the careerist FBI hierarchy that did not adhere to standards of professionalism that their subordinates in the field most certainly do adhere to. That's true. The rank and file FBI, they do their jobs and they do it honorably. The ones at the top, the political ones, those are the ones we have to worry about. The FBI current problems are not in their stars, but in themselves. So let me know what you think about this National Review article. These 4 questions that that Victor Hansen made. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe and check out DEMOCREPUBLIX for the latest in news.
We live in a really nightmare. We live in a really nightmare.